Hi, it is Sunday, the 9th of December 2018. This is Wes Fryer, and in this week's video tutorial, I'd like to just share some introductory ideas that we used this past week with a wonderful project that I'm able to do again with one of our high school English teachers, Mrs. Whitney Finley. Last year, one of my favorite technology integration projects of the whole year was the one that we did, and I think this year is going to be even better. So in the notes to this presentation, I will include a link to this slideshow so that you can get hold of this if you'd like to take a look at it. And so this is just the project introduction. I guess I could slide this over a little bit. It's a little awkward with my video being there. Slide this over. So this is the project introduction for the children's book project. And what she does is have her seniors actually write children's books and then create all the artwork for them. And so my job was to talk a little bit about the digital side of this, and then overall, kind of where we're going to go with the project. So in this presentation, which I'm not going to be sharing for 45 minutes with you, I took students through some of the project goals, some example books, and then lessons learned, and then also talking about the workflows. And that's probably the most valuable, potentially, part of this if you're using Book Creator yourself with your students or you're helping facilitate projects with teachers. If any of this is helpful to you, I hope you'll go ahead and utilize it. So in this project, students are creating an amazing printed book, and we're using Lulu to be able to get to those books. And you can see the shortened web link there is bit.ly/SPR18 eBooks for spring 2018 eBooks. And you can go ahead and get to all of these books if you want, and we've got links to where you can order these if you would want on lulu.com. This is where students got their printed copy, but then also you can download the free electronic version. And so like we did last year, we used Google Classroom for all of the distribution of resources as well as collection of the ebook projects. The two primary websites we use is the online version of Book Creator, which is app.bookcreator.com, and then there's a join code that you get. You can have up to 40 free ebooks on Book Creator, and I've used the iPad version a lot, like a ton, the last 6 summers, doing lots of workshops for iPad Media Camp and then Make Media Camp this last summer. And I love the iPad, but I really love even more Book Creator on their cloud platform because of the way it lets teachers see the students' work as they are building it together, and it lets them immediately share it online. It's just wonderful. And so Lulu was the platform we used last year. We're going to use again for print on demand. So all of those books that we, ordered, the students, created last year through this project were generally less than $10. I mean, some of them with shipping were a little bit more. Those prices actually show ordering 2 copies because I ordered some additional copies that we're going to be using. And so we didn't use any kind of markup for these books, but this is students' intellectual property, and as they order, if they want to, they certainly can. So I next went into a series of lessons learned from some of the ebooks that were created last year. And some of the important ones are, of course, students need to pick the aspect ratio that they're going to use for their video, but it's usually best to have art for each separate page. If they're going to have art that covers 2 different pages on a 2-page layout, they need to realize that when they print it, it's going to, at least with Lulu, have a small white margin in the middle. And so it's not going to be full bleed, meaning it's not edge to edge. And that affected some students who had some major, characters and action in their drawings happening in the middle of this 2-page spread or layout. So we have some examples of books that had text that was on top of art, other ones where the picture was, over to one side and then the text was down below. One of the issues that we ran into last year was some of the PNG images, which have transparency, looked fine on the digital version, but on the printed version, they didn't, and you could see the outline of the square. And so that's really something that you're going to probably have to see when it may be difficult to tell that until you actually have it printed. But you might be able to print some of those on a color printer and see if it has true transparency, and just consider whether or not you want to use transparent PNGs when you're going to be putting things on top of other artwork or whatever pictures in your book. Make sure your text isn't too close to the margins. That's something that Book Creator will show you some red warnings for. But I use this analogy that I do frequently with technology projects. We want to bake a cake, and you got to have a good cake before you do icing and frosting and candles and all these fancy things. And so, that's really where we start. So here's the workflow. This is one of several slides that I think are most helpful. This is some new stuff that we created this year. This is the offline workflow. So the teacher is having students plan what she's calling their plot line. Then they write their script in Google Docs. They storyboard that out. And then they have to decide on what aspect ratio they're going to have for their book. And Book Creator gives them 3 different choices. Then they create their artwork, and there's a variety of ways that they do that. These are the 3 aspect ratios that are available in Book Creator. 2x3, 1x1, or 4x3, and you can't change that once you have started a book. So it's important that students go ahead and pick that and keep that in mind as they do their layout, and that's something that I need to actually get with our art teacher this next week to talk about, is making sure that we have canvas sizes that follow those aspect ratios to facilitate students not having a drawing that doesn't fit inside the dimensions of the book size that they pick. So online there are more steps. There's 10 steps. So I have 2 of these slides. The first one is they join the class using the invitation code for the teacher's library. They have to choose their aspect ratio. They create their book. And then they're going to capture photos of their artwork, either by using just their camera on their smartphone, or there are some apps like TurboScan that can do a nice job. But all of those then need to get imported onto its appropriate page in Book Creator. After that, they're able to copy and paste their script from their Google Doc and then format it as desired. And then this year, I'm very excited that Ms. Finley is going to make it required for all the students to record their voices for each page. Then they're going to be able to export their final EPUB, which is the format for their ebook, and they're going to turn that into Google Classroom. And then they're also going to publish to Lulu. And I guess what I should have had on here too is Lulu is not going to take an EPUB. It's going to actually take a PDF. And I'll be coming back to show some of those steps in greater detail later with the students. But then at this point, I jumped into a demo with Book Creator. And these are the things that I basically talked about as far as next steps. But let me do the demo here. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this. I'm glad I'm safe. And so I've got my throw these away, or throw these into my old folder. So here's my iPad that I'm mirroring, and I'm going to go into my creation folder and open up Book Creator. And actually what I want to do here, I think I can make this a little bit larger so you can see a little bit better what I'm talking about. This is the process of demonstrating. This is the demo. So we're going to go ahead and tap plus here, and we're going to choose to make a new book. This is where we choose our aspect ratio. So let's say we're going to go 2x3 portrait mode. So we're going to go ahead and select that. Again, we can't change that very readily. And when you create a book, generally it's going to have, in this case, 5 pages, or if you're using the pages as an entire layout, then you could consider that you have 3 pages. But whenever you import items, you're going to go up to plus, and you're going to choose to bring items in. If you've already taken those pictures, you don't choose camera, you choose photos, and then you can select those. So let's say I'm going to do one about our pumpkin that is being eaten by probably our squirrels in the neighborhood here. So there I've got my picture. I'm going to touch plus, and I can go ahead and add my text. And so let's call it Pumpkin Trouble. And of course, the students in their project are going to have already typed their paragraphs. And so now once you have that item, you can tap the I when you've tapped it, and then you can format it. So you can choose to make that font larger or smaller. We can change the color. We can adjust the font. And we can also choose to center things up if we want to. And we may want to, put that at the top, and then we could have our name at the bottom. And then when we bring in audio, we're going to tap and choose to add sound, and it's going to let us record Pumpkin Trouble by Wesley Fryer. And, what I just realized I'm doing? This is the demo of the iPad version, right? And I'm supposed to be showing you the App Creator version. So let me go back here. Oops, the wrong page. Just close that. All right. So I need to go to app.bookcreator.com. So I guess what I'll end up showing you here really quick is how similar this is from the iPad version to the web version. Yes, because this is the version. Now, I'm not going to be in this particular library. I'll just go to my personal books. But this is where students are going to join with a code. So they're going to put in their teacher's join code. And then they're going to create a new book. Again, they select the size that they're going to want, just like we saw with the iPad. I guess I can make this a little better sized here. You're going to see pages. And so this one actually just has a cover page and then the second page. But the process is the same. I'm going to push plus. I'm going to choose to import. If I don't have it already, in the cloud, I can go ahead and choose the folder where I have put my pictures. And let's bring in this beautiful picture of the Tetons here. All right. And so now, again, I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to choose text. We're going to call it Teton Adventure. Again, once I have something selected, I can tap the I. Then I can choose to resize. I can choose to center. I can choose a color. I can choose a font. All of those things. And so, again, just like I did on the iPad version, I can go ahead and click to record. And I'm going to get a countdown once I start. Teton Adventure by Wesley Fryer. And so when you choose to use the recording, it's going to put that little recording somewhere here on the screen. And when I click in the middle, Teton Adventure by Wesley Fryer. Isn't that great that it even uses that microphone, because I'm using my microphone to make the screencast at the same time. So I can go ahead and go to my next page. I can click to add pages, and then I'm just going to repeat that process. I'm going to be bringing in text. I'm going to be copying and pasting and putting text in, importing pictures, putting in my audio, and that's really what I did for the demo with students. Basically took us through those steps. So let me just real quickly finish up here. So after doing that demo with students, I went ahead and just talked a little bit about next steps that they could pursue. And so those would include possibly thinking about how they're going to get their pictures from their smartphone onto their computer. If they were using a Mac and they had an iPhone, AirDrop works, but Google Drive would work with everyone's computer. So they could import those pictures from their phone into Google Drive. And then they'd be able to open them over on their computer. TurboScan is another app I mentioned. Watercolors are a little harder to, perhaps scan. You might just use a regular photograph for that. But the main things, and these are the things that you might want to go back to in terms of reviewing this, is just the workflows, right? So these were the offline workflows, those 5 things that students were going to do before they got to the computer, and then these 10 things or 10 steps that they were going to do in order to create their book and then have that as a printed version that will go into Lulu, as well as a digital version, which is going to be able to have their audio on there. So if you are interested in learning more about Book Creator, I would encourage you to not only check out the tutorials that, of course, Book Creator has on their website. On my website, Show with Media, if you just go to showwithmedia.com, I've got a section here called eBooks, and so this will take you through some older versions of these presentations that I've shared before, and some suggestions about workflows and things like that. Wonderful stories of this ebook project that I did in Yukon schools a few years ago. More tutorials, more resources. So thanks so much. If you have not already, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my video library, Playing with Media. You'll find that on playingwithmedia.com. And if you've got any feedback about this video or anything that you would like to see in future videos, please consider reaching out to me on Twitter. I am W. Fryer on Twitter, and that's probably the best way to get a hold of me. You can also find me on wesfryer.com And if you put wesfryer.com and either click the contact link or just go /contact, then you're going to find an electronic contact form where you can get a hold of me as well. So thanks a lot for your attention. Have a great week, and good luck using Book Creator to create wonderful multimedia ebooks with students.